going to dive into this Patriots and Bucks matchup that's going to take place this weekend. Obviously, this is a huge matchup that's going to feature Tom Brady going up against his old coach in Bill Belichick. So, Kevin, I'll kick this question to you to kind of start it off. What does this game symbolize to you, this matchup between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick for the first time going against each other, opponent versus opponent?
I mean, it's really weird because obviously when you hear the two names, you think of the same thing. You think of winning, you think of championships, you think of the best quarterback coach tandem in NFL history. Arguably one of the best coach player relationships outside of Phil Jackson and Michael, Phil Jackson and Kobe and Shaq. You know what I'm saying? Like outside of those very few championship pedigree players, it's going to be weird to see them kind of go up against one another for the first time. I know that a lot of people have said, well, Brett was able to go back to Green Bay just fine. Well, Brett didn't have one coach. Brett didn't win 6 Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? It's just different, I think it's going to be a game for the history books, not only because it's Brady's first time back playing in Foxborough for the first time not in a Patriots uniform. So it's going to be something we've never seen before. It's going to be something that is going to be almost unsettling for Patriot fans. I know that I can't speak for them, Kyle. I know that you're going to have your own take on this as well. But just it's really hard to put into words. And, obviously you got to have respect for probably, if not arguably, the greatest coach. And there's no argument that Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. But to see Brady suit up against his former coach, the guys that came together to win 6 Super Bowls in New England, to go to 9 together as a whole, is just absolutely unheard of practically. I mean, well, actually, no, they've gone to 10 together.
No,
right?
they went to 9. Brady's been to 10. He went
Oh,
to his
right,
10th
right.
one
Right.
with the
I
Tampa
wasn't doing
last year.
math right because he has 3 losses, 2 Giants, 1 Philly. All right. Sorry, guys, I had a brain fart. But I am excited to see the matchup. We all know Bill Belichick for the defensive-minded coach that he is. Obviously, he's going to know all of Tom's tendencies, all of his checkdowns, his reads, his mannerisms, his poisonous in the pocket. He's going to know when to send blitzers and rushers. But I do know that New England has been struggling. Again, I'll let Kyle do kind of like a deeper analysis in terms of as to how he believes New England's going to come about this whole situation. But from my perspective, I'm excited to see how Tom goes at Bill's defense, and I'm excited to see how Bill prepares for Tom and the Bucs offense. Antonio Brown is back, so that is another additional weapon on this roster that is going to be active and ready to go. And Bill Belichick knows that he is going up against his former wingmate. I can't even say protege because, without one and the other, I don't know if New England wins as many as they do. So definitely super excited for this Sunday night game. I think it's probably going to be one of the best games of the year. Brady, the phrase, I was telling Kyle this yesterday when we were recording our segment for the Jags. The phrase chip on your shoulder does not describe the accuracy of the emotional tension that's going to be in Foxborough Sunday night. Like, some people are just mad when they go to a different team or when a team didn't fight to retain them. No. Tom definitely has this massive boulder sitting over his shoulder saying, I'm going to prove you wrong as to why you didn't keep me. I'm literally going to shove this Super Bowl winning team down your throat. And whether that's animosity or that's just him being Tom with his, mannerisms and his emotions, Tom's coming in this game 150% dialed in and with 100% extra intensity, because if anything is on his calendar when he signed with Tampa this last season and the schedule came out for this year, you circle Foxborough. And he rightfully has every fucking reason to be. Because, man, Kyle, I'm passing the ball to you, bro. What the hell do you think is about to happen on Sunday night, bro? I'm so curious to hear your take.
Look, I mean, as the Patriot fan here, I think it's just gonna be weird at first because when you spend literally 2 decades as a player coach combo, and to see the amount of success that they were able to attain within that time frame, nobody's going to be able to replicate that type of success in NFL history. It's never going to happen again. And it was going to come to an end at one point or another, but it took place when it took place. So, like, when I look at this matchup between, Brady and Belichick, I think it would have been a lot more different had Brady not won the Super Bowl last year. Because the narrative that was kind of surrounding these two is like, who was more successful for the success that the Patriots had over that 20-year span? Was it Brady or was it Belichick? And essentially what has happened is that that narrative kind of went out the window after Brady won the Super Bowl with the Bucks last year when they beat the Chiefs. So when I look at the situation now, it's clear as day to me that Brady was largely responsible for getting this team, speaking about the Patriots, to the success that they had. But Belichick was the orchestrator of it all. It's just, I don't know if, like you mentioned, that if you have Brady out of the lineup or if you have somebody else with Belichick as the coach, I don't know if the Patriots attained the success that they had with Brady if they had somebody else. I think they still would have been successful to a certain extent, but not nearly as much as Brady. So, when this matchup takes place on Sunday night, I think there's just going to be a lot of tension that's going to be brought up about the fact that, you know, Belichick forced Brady out the door, too early. Even though I don't necessarily agree with that narrative that the media is kind of essentially baked at this point. But I think, like you mentioned, I think this is going to be a game where I think Tom's going to have a chip on his shoulder. Belichick's going to know what most Brady's going to go with because a lot of the plays that the Bucks run are very similar in nature to what the Patriots were running for a very long time. So this is going to be a scenario where it's kind of a battle of the same offense to a certain extent. Like Brady knows what Belichick's going to do as far as like the setup with what New England's going to run as the offense, but Belichick's going to know what Brady's going to run because a lot of the plays are very similar, and he's going to know the calls and the audibles that Brady makes at the line of scrimmage before the ball gets snapped. So it's going to be a fun game. I look really forward to this matchup on Sunday night. I mean, it's a little bit bittersweet for me just because I think before the game, I think it's going to hit Tom a little bit. But I think once the game takes place and once, they're into the game, Brady's just going to be locked in. But I do think that he's going to feel the emotion of that stadium before the game gets started. There's no doubt in my mind that he's going to feel it a little bit. And it's understandable. I mean, the guy was with that team for 20 years. Granted, whatever went down between Belichick and Brady, it's in the past, but I imagine that both of them can reflect back on just the tenure that they had together and the amount of success that they were able to achieve. It's unbelievable. And nobody's going to be able to achieve that type of success ever again. So, at the end of the day, I think there's still mutual respect for what they were able to do. And I think that's what's going to kind of carry out, even despite what's going to happen in this game on Sunday night.